I got together with the woman who was going to become my wife, Tammy. I mean, I've known her since we were 8, and she was a friend of mine when I was a kid. And so we've known each other forever. But we got together seriously when we were in our late 20s. And she was really ready to have a family, like now. And I didn't have a permanent job at that point, although my prospects were good, which is part of the reason she married me. But she wanted to start. And I thought, okay, so I didn't really want to do that. And I thought, okay, what's your problem, Jordan? What is it that you're worried about? And I thought, well, there's an economic issue. That's not really serious. I'll get a job and she'll come along wherever I go if I have that job. So that's not an issue. It's like, so what then? Well, babies. What the hell do I know about babies? Nothing. I can't take care of a baby. I don't know how to do that. So I said to her, well, the reason I seem to be objecting is because I'm kind of doubtful about the infant stage. Like toddlers, I know what to do with them. I can play with kids. But when they're under a year, they're like a foreign object to me in many ways. I don't know what to do. And so that worries me. And so I'll tell you what, if you'll take primary care for the infant, I'll take care of you and the infant. And how would that be? And I think that's the right role. I really do believe that. And you might think, well, that's sexist. It's like, well, no, not necessarily. How are you so sure that first year as a mother isn't one of the great parts of the fundamental adventure of being female? Like, so don't give me any crap about that being sexist. That's just, I don't think so. And so what I would do is watch my wife, and if she got tired, spell her off. And I did what I could to take care of the infant, but I knew that, she would take care of that while I stumbled around trying to learn how. And she did that. And that worked fine. And then, as the kids got older, I took more and more responsibility for them. And when my daughter was about 2.5, I think that's right, 1.5, we had our second child. And then I took care of Michaela, the older child, quite a lot after that, because Tammy, of course, was busy, especially that first year with the infant, with Julian. But that worked well. That was a good division of labor as far as I was concerned. And also my wife was very happy about that because she loved to take care of infants. And that's characteristic of a lot of women, and even those that don't admit it. And it's too bad they don't admit it because there's something wrong with that? Is there something? I saw this tweet the other day about this grandmother, mother of a mature daughter. And the daughter had announced that she was never going to have kids. And her mother said, "Oh, I think that's just great. You're gonna just live for you, and that's just wonderful. And I'm glad you can be so independent." And I thought, how could you possibly say something that stupid to your daughter? It's like you don't want grandchildren, and you're so sure that she's just not ideologically addled about the fundamental realities and beauties and depth of life. It's like, how many things do? We have a career if we're lucky, or a job if we don't. If we're not, we have an intimate relationship. We have a family. That's life, man. You miss one of those, well, you can do it, but it's a big deal not to do that. The relationship you have with your kids, if your eyes are open, that is the best relationship you will ever have with anyone in your life. I was thinking about my son. Tears me up because I've been so sick. I haven't seen much of him, but he came up for Thanksgiving, which was great, with his wife and his son. And he's a very good father. It's lovely to see. And, I can't really ever remember having a fight with him. I mean, he got upset sometimes when he was a kid and so on, but we had a pretty untrammeled relationship all the way through. And it was great. I think probably the relationship I had with him was the best relationship in my life, and I don't say that lightly because I love my wife and we have a great relationship, and I have other people in my family who are very close, including my daughter. She was more complicated because she was very ill for much of her childhood, and so that complicated things a lot. But you don't take care of your kids. Well, what are you doing? What's going to be better than that? Like, you need some meaning in your life, man. And where are you going to get something that's better than that? Women are often afraid of the way that men interact with children. And it's partly, an extension of their proclivity to protect. And so it can seem intimidating. And that's what men do, to play, for example, to play more roughly. Because it does take some courage on the part of a doting mother to, for example, let a man throw her baby up in the air, throw her infant up in the air, in play, obviously. And there is danger in it, but it's tremendous excitement. I mean, children love that kind of play. And so, it also speaks to a sort of deep distrust that many women have of men, because the relationships they had with their own father, or with their boyfriends, or with their brother, perhaps, has been pathologized in some manner. And so there's a distrust, and fair enough. But, trust is courage once you're not naive. And if you don't trust your father, your mate, your partner, if you're a woman, you have a child, you don't trust your mate, then you cannot entice the best out of him. You can't. You have to trust first and invite and say, well, yeah, I know you're just as stupid as me, but, I'm going to trust you to do your best and to learn. And that's real courage. That takes real courage, especially when it's your child that you're dealing with. But it's much better for the child and for you, because then you don't have to do all the work as a woman. And I mean, I saw women all the time in my practice, but also, as I had kids and met other families who would really covertly punish their husbands every single time they interacted with their kids. They'd glare or say something caustic or interfere in some way. And you do that 50 times to your partner, and they're out of the game, man. You've pretty much finished that. You think that the pleasures that wealth can bring you as a solitary and free individual outweigh the terrible, burdensome responsibility of a family. But if you're just thinking of that responsibility as burdensome, you're not thinking straight. It's like, no, you don't understand. That's a wonderful opportunity. That's what that is. And it comes at a cost, like all opportunity. And you see that too. One of the saddest things I saw fairly regularly as a clinician was, couples that had decided too late that they wanted to have kids, and then, were just turning themselves inside out with attempts to conceive, and often failing. And Jesus, that's hard to recover from once you realize that's what you want, and it doesn't happen. So and the other thing that people don't really realize is that things go by pretty quick. That period of time when your kids are little, it seems like a long time when you think about it beforehand, and even sometimes when you're living through it, but it's gone, and you want to take advantage of that. And I had a great career, and I still do, but I can't say that it was more important to me, like existentially, than my family. Like I couldn't have possibly imagined having a career that was more, what would you say? It offered me everything I could have possibly wanted. Also a lot of trouble, but nonetheless. And so I was exceptionally fortunate in that regard. But nonetheless, if I had to pick, I'd pick my family. Yeah, and because of the quality of the experience, that I'm not just saying that out of a sense of obligation or duty. It's like, no, fundamentally that was deeper. And I tried to teach the deepest things I could conceptualize, and succeeded in that, at least to the degree that I could conceptualize them. But still, it's like, no, when push comes to shove, especially those years I spent with Tammy in Boston when our kids were little. It's like, man, there is something to that. Don't miss it. Stupid guys, don't miss that. Temperamentally, I was disinclined to enjoy school, especially from grade 7 through grade 12, especially in junior high. Well, all my friends were kind of delinquent types in some ways, and so they acted up, and so did I, and I was pretty mouthy. But also, it was too slow for me. Like when I took language arts in grade 8, I had read the whole year's books in I think it was the first day, but it was certainly the first week. And so it just bored me. I was just bored to death. So that wasn't so good. It it can be a bit infantilizing because of the rule structure. Like I said, a lot of my friends, they just weren't going to put up their hand when they wanted to go to the bathroom anymore, and they were just done with that. But one of the things young men aren't taught properly, and I mean even at the age of, let's say, 11, young, is like, there is nothing that will make you more powerful than your words. And so if you think that reading and writing is for pansies and dimwits, or teachers' pets, because they get in less trouble in school, let's say, you're seriously misinformed. And so, I talk to people like Jocko Willink, and Jocko's as tough a guy as you could ever hope to encounter about literacy, and a number of other people too who are also seriously tough guys. Congressman Dan, what's Dan's last name?
Dan Crenshaw.
Crenshaw, yeah. Sorry about that. I have a bit of memory issues with that sort of thing at the moment. Yeah, well, he's as tough as a bloody boot, that guy, and both those characters, and Rex Murphy, who's one of Canada's outstanding journalists, he's so damn tough, it's crazy. And they all know perfectly well that literacy is a huge part of what's made them unstoppable. And you don't take that lightly. It's really serious. And it's a failing of our education system that literacy isn't marketed properly to young men. It's like, straighten up, speak properly, write, learn to write. Why? Because that's the same as learning to think. And why should you think? Well, because you won't do as many stupid things and your horizons will widen. And then too, when you need to entice people along your journey, hopefully somewhere good, you'll be able to do it because you'll be compelling. And there's something deeply pathological about the way our society markets literacy to young men in particular, because, well, partly we just won't allow for let's say the marketing association between toughness and dangerousness and literacy. There's something wrong about that, we think, some weird way. And that's wrong. It's like, sure, you should be physically tough and you should be tough in your temperament, as well as having the capacity for play and compassion. That has to be developed too. But that's not enough. And I don't care how tough you are physically, you're nowhere near as tough as you would be if you were physically tough and really literate. And then you're an unstoppable force, and hopefully for good. And that's a much tougher battle than, being tough for your own idiotic, selfish ends. That's just pathetic. And so, and I just don't understand. We've developed a writing program, which is called Essay, which teaches people how to write while they use it. It's a word processor, but it teaches people how to write as you use it. We built that into the program itself. And I really want to market it to young men and say, look, get your words together and then see what you can do. And don't be thinking that that's somehow beneath you. That just means you're stupid, that you think that. You don't know anything. You think that. It's wrong. And you're limiting yourself so much you can't even imagine it. You might not even figure it out till you're 60 and then it's too late. So read, write, think,